Sorry.
Say it.
Oh, now say it.
Yeah.
I'll call the meeting to order.
And we're being in public. You're gonna stay in
I'll
public.
stay in public. I don't mind it being recorded. I just didn't want, get into it. So wanted to speak to you folks about a couple of little legal items. Just attorney wanted to double check with me before we went forward. We've got two folks, one that we've been finding since September, one we've been finding since June, that we've got no response. And I forwarded the files on to Matt, saying it's time to take court action, and he wanted me to double check back with you folks and make sure that that you were okay with him proceeding. These are probably our two longest standing junkyard
They're the
issues
ones that we
in
already knew
town.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know about them.
Oh, yeah.
It's just before he
okay.
actually moved forward with the court case, he
Yeah.
wanted a stamp of approval. And it's interesting, I did a top 10 problem properties when I started here 17 years ago, and these two properties were on it. So, yeah, comes around finally. But we're down to the last 2 or 3 on that big list. So, okay, so you can have those are copies, so you can have those. And then I had 2 others that were just minor issues, but I thought since I had your attention, I could bring them up. One
Can
is,
I ask if they're approving you to move forward first?
Yeah.
oh,
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
I'd like to move forward. Okay, thank you. Matt will be pleased. The other one is fairly long-standing problem of Tracker Store. They never did complete the site plan approval process, as you know, being on the planning board, which means technically I should go back to the violation process with them. The property is on the market. I just wanted your guidance a little bit on what you thought was the appropriate, from a sort of friendly town point of view, as opposed to legal, we have a right to process at this point. Because I had sent her notices of violation in the past about not having gotten a permit for the shed. And then we withdrew those because she initiated the process of going to the planning board for site plan approval. I can't really issue a approval for the shed without site plan approval, but it doesn't really seem worth the town's effort to be sending notices of violation and then charging violation fees for a property that's on the market. I'm kind of.
Have you validated it's on the market?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The last time she was at the planning board, we told her that there was 2 properties each side of her that have surveyed, and the pin should be there,
Yeah.
and she should be able to substantiate her front distance of lot line from that. And she was going to do that and get back to the planning board. That was the last.
And that was the last, and that was probably 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah,
at
3
least.
months ago. Anyway.
Yeah. And then there was word of her going to the ZBA for a waiver or a variance. I just feel so totally out of the loop. And as enforcement, I want to kind of hold her feet to the fire. But I also, I think it's not helpful for the town to be doing stuff that they can't follow through on. It just makes us look like we're flailing, and it took us.
So we can still follow through. If she sells it, the new owner is going to accept the liability of it. I don't want to stop anything, because stopping it sends the wrong message to a potential buyer. And if she,
I know we followed through with Enos.
I've watched this go on long enough. There's a drag, and let's just see if we can do drag stuff out. And I'm willing to keep it going. And if she stays there because she can't sell it, then she's got to deal with it.
So revive the notice of violation.
Yep.
And how would you feel about
And
it?
I think she did. I think that she was instructed that she probably would have to go to the ZBA.
Okay.
Before she came back to the planning board.
So I think I'll revive the notice of violation and say, if you can demonstrate that you are in process with either the ZBA or the planning board, show
Yeah.
active documents, then, this will be on hold or whatever. I know you don't like the sound of that. Maybe I should wait and see if that happens. Because that has always been our method of operation, which is that if we send someone some kind of a notice, even the cease and desist with Mina, if then they start taking action to rectify the situation, we hold off on fining them because we're nice people. And if people are trying to fix things, let's not be too mean.
If she scheduled a meeting with the ZBA, sure.
Okay,
Give me a date and time.
okay,
But I was gonna say, do we give her a certain amount, you need to do this by,
30 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the other question I have too, is you kind of sitting there describing some of this. Is there a place where we have any of this listed where a potential buyer or the real estate agent would have any capability to understand there might be something going on with the property?
Oh, for God's sake, I've talked, sorry. I have talked directly to real estate agents that are handling a piece of property, and they said, yes, 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 and I've had email exchanges, yes, 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 yes. And it's all for naught. I fought for a year to get the Enos property in compliance. This was after the buyer and the realtor had promised that they were going to deal with it the minute it changed hands.
All they want to do is make the sales.
So, yeah, we can try, but the question, I don't know.
No, I'm just asking.
I don't
not-
know, it'd be,
Rebecca, you know.
be interesting to find out what other towns have any way. I mean, how do we put a red flag on it? I mean, the realtors must come and print out the property cards, right? I don't know, Dave's not here, he's gone, but maybe there should be a way we're flagging the property cards with properties in violation. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting point that,
That's where I was going with my question.
Yeah.
I know we've never done it that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, but it would be interesting to be able to do that. That
Yeah.
way, if somebody is looking at the property, at least somewhere they can see it,
yeah.
there's an action pending.
I think it's not our, it's tempting, but I'm not sure it's appropriate, and who knows, with an avatar, to put a temporary status like that in on the property card, because what if, in the scheme of things, it doesn't then get removed when it gets rectified? I mean, generally, the property cards contain what is ongoing, like permanent information. But
Mhm.
I'll look into it, and I'll check why don't I check the realtor,
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out for the future if
Okay.
there's a way we can help
send
make a bigger
NOV,
flag.
give 30 days, BBA or planning board. Okay. And the only other one is, I know that we're all concerned about what's happening with Linda Seabury down on Hunter's Bridge Road, and that just waved across in front of me. And I don't see, even though if she's gone back into her RV, which had a temporary occupancy permit, which expired in December, then she's obviously in violation. But it seems to me that's in some ways the least of our worries. And I don't even know if she's even getting mail there. Should I send her a notice of violation about using an RV without permission? Or are we perhaps, as I think we should be, more concerned about her health and welfare?
I don't mind concerns, but
I
I
should
think
have brought it up.
You're being recorded.
I think we should continue the normal violation process, so there's documentation.
Okay. Sorry.
Needed to drop it out. The notice of violation.
I missed what you said.
She said we're being recorded.
We're being
Oh.
I
recorded.
didn't want her to go into any personal information.
Yeah, okay. Yes. I just wasn't sure how to proceed because it seemed like there were multiple issues.
Well,
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, folks.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Rebecca.
recording or?
there you go.
Please join the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. In the signature folder, I'll make a motion to approve the work session minutes of January 18th.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to approve the non-public minutes of January 18th.
Second,
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
aye.
And there was application for a veterans exemption on property tax.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the manifest dated January 26th in the amount of $148,082.78.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And in the mail folder, we had a little mailing from the Historic District Commission. I guess it's going to all the homeowners in the historic districts, what they can do, and just a little update. There was also a letter from Avatar quoting the per hour billing rate for utilities and any updates that they're doing. And there was the annual report by Action Ambulance, and also a letter regarding the town health officer submitted by a citizen. Administrative comments. You have anything, Audrey?
We have two people who are interested in coming in to talk to the board. One is about the electric rates. I handed out something maybe 2 weeks ago in your packet, so I
Yeah.
forgot to discuss it. So he would like to come in and explain to the board how he could potentially save us money. Do you want to speak with him?
Yeah, I told him to get the package together and then present it to us.
So he sent you that one flyer. You want more than that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then there's a company, I met them at the NHMA conference, and they are interested in revamping our website for not very expensive, and wanted to show you a couple websites of what they could do and what it would cost, and depending on what you want to do.
They want to do that by Zoom, or they want to bring it into a cast against the wall, or how they want to do that?
I imagine we could show it there, and he would be willing to come in. They're just over in Maine,
Oh, they're out of Maine.
over in Maine.
Our website's in dire shape, so anything to take a look at, it would be
So
great.
you're willing to talk to
Absolutely.
them, okay. Right. Okay, the remainder of the street signs have been ordered. Lenny, I couldn't remember what kind of brackets you wanted.
Well, yeah, I'd have to order some of each, because it depends on how the post gets put in the ground, is the way the bracket, what
Okay.
you're gonna need for bracket.
All righty. Okay, and I sent the public notice for the budget meeting on the 7th, is it February 7th? But
Yep.
so that should be in the paper this week, and Chuck, you should have all of your PDFs. I put them in 3 separate ones because it was getting huge,
Mhm.
and you can only email what certain sizes. Lisa hasn't figured out her hours yet. She'll be in Thursday or Friday this week, and we'll know more of what's happening. I guess the good news is that her job's gonna be entirely working from Effingham from home, so she may have flexibility to be in here more. That's all I have right now.
Okay, I think there was an ad in Saturday's Congress, I believe, for the, I think it was for the budget.
Dave, you didn't send the budget hearing thing to Conway paper, did you?
No.
So
we'll
maybe
send
it
to
was-
you to do it.
Maybe it was the candidates, I mean,
Yeah, the candidates were.
yeah, maybe that's the one I'm
Okay.
thinking of.
That's all I have.
Okay, Vicky?
Yeah, those signs you ordered, were any of them for me?
No.
Why?
Because those are special. I had to find somewhere that makes them, and NRRA didn't have any recommendations.
So they gave the apron
Right.
thing, but
Yeah. so
didn't
If
tell
you
you
wanted,
where.
if you wanted to put your fingers in Google, you could probably. I actually was thinking I could have Lydia do that tomorrow.
either that or tell me what the measurements are of it, and I'll try looking too.
Yeah, 24 by 36. I had tried Alpha Graphics down in Manchester. They didn't get back to me, and I didn't try Minuteman. They wouldn't be expensive, but I think probably there's a couple online places that do it pretty inexpensive. I had them do some of the frost heave signs for us last year, or weight limit signs. I can't remember.
The other thing is NRRA, just to let you know that they have a Freon recovery removal program. It's a 25 unit minimum, and they're willing to come and pick it up if we have the 25 units at $8 per unit, but that's only through the year, so.
This year.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I don't know if that's something we would
How does
be
it compare to what
interested
we
in.
have?
Huh?
How does it compare to what we're paying now?
I don't know, I just got this yesterday, so I haven't.
I'm willing to look
yeah.
at that, Vicky, but I want to kind of understand how it compares to what we have.
Right,
Is
right.
it a different vendor?
Huh?
Is it a different vendor? Because NRA does ours now.
It says Northeast Association can arrange to have the refrigerant removed from the refrigerators, freezers, air conditioning, dehumidifiers, and water coolers.
I think we've already had it.
We keep the units for, salvage metal scrap,
Yeah, we already do that.
but who does it?
NRA,
Yeah.
call them.
It's $8 a unit. is what we pay.
Is that what we do? So why would they be sending us?
It's sending it to everybody. That was a blast email.
I thought it was waste management that did that.
No,
No? Okay, all right, well, I guess we don't have to worry about that. That's it.
no, so
So, looking at the emails on what this timber tax bond interest thing, when did we vote we were paying interest on that, or how did that come about, or did we get our money
The
back?
manifest you just signed doesn't have any interest on it,
Okay,
and this timber bond happened.
Good.
Not a good happened.
perfect. The email you and I were trading on today with the assessing piece of it,
Yeah,
so there's 3 things that are actually part of that.
right.
The most concerning one is, why didn't a taxpayer in this town get a call back from this office after at least 2 calls to the office looking for information?
I did not receive that message. Sometimes people leave it on someone else's voicemail.
Good.
But I have not ever heard that
Super.
person's name.
So further following up with that, so today I went in and looked at the online systems, and I also looked at what the taxpayer's bill was for December. Somehow, that whole property has been increased by 100,000 in value, almost to the penny, from what it shows on the tax card on the website to what he got on his tax bill. So I understand Bethany would have to get involved with any kind of a rebate, but we try and figure out with Avatar, what the heck's going on with that evaluation? Because something obviously is screwed up, and it looks like it was screwed up back in July of last year. So need a little homework done on that one to see if we can figure out what's going on. And as soon as we get that information, I need to respond to the person, so you can kind of give me an idea roughly how long that's gonna take. That'd be great.
It'll probably be Thursday.
That's good.
Yeah.
I just do a little homework, but just get back to me so I can let them know and tell them we're working on stuff and whatever. Incorrect manifest amounts again. So question I have is, can we sit down over the next few weeks, probably in a work session, and talk about the entire process we have in reviewing invoices and checks and manifests? Because I'm not sure we got a manifest correct in the last 3 months. And that's unacceptable when we're paying vendors, paying employees their salaries. So I really want to take a look at the process in detail. So if it takes us 3 hours to sit here and talk about the process, that's exactly what I want to do. We good with
Sounds
that?
good, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
The final that you handed out today for the budget to actual, I see the same numbers on here for Bailey Road and Green Mountain Road. Where did the two checks get processed against those numbers for those warrant articles we talked about at the last meeting? We said we were taking the road one and applying it against the Green Mountain warrant, and we were taking the bridge one and applying it against the Bailey warrant.
And I said that I was going to check to see how to process that,
You did.
so,
But,
yeah,
so this isn't final yet.
as far as putting revenue down into that line. Correct,
So, okay,
Yeah,
I
I
just,
haven't
I just want to make
researched that
sure, because I want to make sure those get
right,
allocated in two
this
thousand
is
two.
final
22.
expenditures, yeah.
Okay. So the American gas letter we got last week was an increase of, I think, 80-something cents a gallon.
Yeah.
I sent the budget chair Strauss a note today. We probably, knowing that, because that's quite a substantial increase per gallon from what we've got, we probably ought to amend our line item for that for next year and increase it, or we're gonna be severely underfunded. So, I think we've got 12 grand in there now, and I'm thinking we ought to go to at least 15.5 or 16 to cover us for that. I'm not even sure that'll cover the whole amount, but it'd be way better than being under 3 or 4 grand.
Do we know what our usage is, total usage? Per gallon, I mean, gallon wise,
We'd have to add up every one of the invoices.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Dave?
I sent you an email back, Chuck. We increased it 6% by $3,600.
So it's up to
15.6.
it's up to 15.6 now?
Maybe you just read it wrong.
I read
It's
it
up
wrong.
15.6 is what we approved.
Okay.
So
Was that
we did anticipate the increase.
Of that 80 cents?
We did.
Okay, perfect. Good. I misread it. Thank you, David.
Good on that?
Yep, totally good on that. The L-chip, Grace and I drove up to Concord last week, met with L-chip to determine why we missed out on the grant for 2022, and there was 3 predominant reasons. One is, in short, we had too many items in our project. Well, we can manage 10, 11, 12 different things. Their systems handle 1, 2, and 3 things, so that was part of the issue. Out of the 54 applicants this year, they awarded 34 of them, and there's a scoring system, and the scoring system looks at preservation items and or versus modernization items. So if there's a very heavy applicant list that's like 100% preservation minded, and we come to the table with preservation and modernization, we automatically get kicked down on the scoring. So we've got to reevaluate our phase 2, phase 3 list and try and get a little bit better leveling of preservation and modernization, just in case they decide that they don't want to do that. And probably the biggest one was confusion factor. What we did not realize, because of the in-depth explanations we had, we were thinking we were being reviewed by professionals on review teams, when it's a combination of professionals and lay people on review teams.
Oh,
And as an example, some people had no clue what a proscenium was, or a proscenium opening. So they were totally confused, and they were automatically just saying, you know something, I don't know anything about this, I'm going to default to somebody else that knows more. As a result of that part of the conversation, Grace actually had a great comment on it, on know your audience. So knowing what we know now about the review team audience, when we get ready to do this year's application, we're going to target it better to make it more explainable as to what we're
Right.
doing in our
Right.
project. So we'll do a lesser number of items. We'll probably do something every year rather than every other year. So we can still hopefully keep on the same track to get the building ready for 2028 and our 250th anniversary. Grace, did I miss anything?
You've got it.
Careful. Audrey, you get the warrant language for the Carroll County Communications District piece, and I got that from Diane. directly, so I thank her. And there was an email that came through last week from the state regarding the $400,000 grant we got for the Wilkinson Swamp. I think it was a FEMA grant. The governor's office signed off on it last week, so now we're gonna set up a kickoff meeting and begin to look at the whole project prioritizations thing. We'll do it in April, and I'm gonna actually talk to the contact person up in Concord, hopefully this week, if not next week, to basically begin to set that up. Kickoff meeting will be basically describing what the process is gonna be, how long it's gonna take, what the expectations are. And I have to do my first quarterly report before July 31st. So for the next couple of years, I'll be generating quarterly reports. That's all I had, Lenny.
Hey. Yeah, I kind of like that layman's language and using that. I mean, that Persinian sound like it's a body part or something.
Well, they use that as one of the specific examples
Yeah.
of the confusion. It's like, yeah, fuck that, got it.
How'd the library move go?
You can ask the trustee
Yeah.
chair.
It is going fabulously.
Good.
It looks even better than when you were there a month ago. So we're doing a soft opening next Wednesday. So it'll be open to the public then. And then on the 25th, at the end of the month, we're doing, by then everything should be, really clean and in order. Next week they'll be kind of clean.
Okay.
But there'll be a reopening party on the 25th, where we're planning to have like refreshments and invite a lot of people in to take a look at it, particularly L-Chip and some of our local officials.
It's February 25th.
February 25th.
Yeah.
So mark your calendar.
Okay.
I'll pick you up.
Okay.
When you ask that, Lenny, it's like now that the library stacks are in there and a lot of the books are in there, when you stand back in the corner and you look across the room, it's a totally different perspective than under the old scenario. That extra 2 feet of raising that ceiling and having the LED lighting in there, the whole room is huge compared to what it was before, even though it's the same size room. So it's nice.
Good. Just want to bring this up. We've been using Brad a lot to go clean up trash that's dumped on the side of the road. And, he uses his own vehicle. He doesn't charge us any mileage. All he does is the 2-hour minimum. But he's getting paid his pay from the transfer station. Well, I don't think that's a transfer station function. And I think we could bump him up to his snow shoveling pay, for the 2 hours. I mean, he goes out on his own time, all kinds of weather, bags it up. And,
I agree with that based on some of the piles I know he has picked up.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't touch.
and I mean, it's getting to be a pretty common occurrence. I don't know why people have to do that, but they do. So, I mean, in 2 weeks' time, he picked up 2 piles on Ryfield Road. So,
When he started doing that way back when, I told him to put in for mileage,
yeah,
because I know all the miles he was driving around town. Looking at some of the stuff we asked him to look at, but
he doesn't. He just puts in his 2-hour minimum. But I know his snow shoveling rate's a little bit higher than his pay rate at the transfer station. So,
I'm good with that.
you have any problem with that?
Well, I'm wondering if part of that is because of this transfer station. The ordinance and the fees that we charge, that why, because of the fees, has that been redone?
No,
No,
Because most of the stuff he picks up is demo stuff, windows, doors, insulation.
because they don't wanna,
So
Go and take
just as
it
a
to
reminder,
place,
Vicky, when we were the only town around not charging, we had our residents gathering trash from outside of town and bringing in and dumping it in town because their friends didn't want to pay for it. We did an entire analysis over a month or 2 of all the towns around and what they were charging for the individual components. our rates are at or slightly below what everybody else is charging. So we are extremely competitive relative to the rates. We also noticed as soon as we started to charge for stuff within the first 3 or 4 months, our demo dumpster volumes went down dramatically because people weren't coming in and dumping stuff from outside. So I'm willing to take a look at the fees, but if we're gonna do that, I wanna do a complete analysis of all the surrounding towns to make sure that we're not underdoing too much.
Well, obviously, when he goes and picks up all this stuff that's put on the side of the road or whatever, it winds up in our
Mhm.
transfer station.
And I'm sure some of it's being, quite frankly, I know the stuff that was dumped up on Snow Road last year came from Austin. It wasn't even our
Right,
people, it was
right.
Austin. So it's like, we're not gonna prevent them from dumping. But I also don't want to invite outsiders to come in and use our transfer station because it's a lower fee. Or no fee.
Well, it
But
wouldn't
I
be
mean, most of the stuff would,
outsiders. I'm not saying outsiders,
No,
I'm
no.
just saying.
No, but we've had a lot of people with friends with pickups that have friends outside of this town.
Yeah,
And they're
Mhm.
lugging stuff into town. And our white goods was a good example of that. The white goods volume went down almost overnight as soon as we started charging for white goods because people weren't bringing them from other towns anymore.
but anyways, we still do need to get that
Yeah.
updated
I know.
so that they can pass those out to people.
but most of the stuff he picks up is demo, tires, TVs, stuff. Anyway,
I'm good with that rate.
yeah,
Moving on.
you good with it, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Make note of that, Audrey. Okay. Where do we stand on the oil tank? Used oil tank?
Tony hasn't gotten back to me, so the 2 guys up here looking at it aren't interested anymore, so,
Yeah.
we need to advertise it out.
Yeah, can we get advertisement for that? And also, the police cruiser and the fire department van, might as well advertise them.
Okay, I think the chief wanted to talk to you about one of them.
Which chief, fire chief, or,
Are we still in conversation about the vehicles?
yep,
So as we had discussed a few weeks ago, I had the police vehicle as well as our current SUV
Yeah.
evaluated both by Whiting's. He evaluated the rust condition as well as the overall engine health. And he found that the police cruiser was in better condition than what we currently have.
Right.
Being that they're both town-owned vehicles at this point, there's no cost associated with, transferring from one vehicle to the other. My question to the board was, does it make more sense for us to put a little bit of money into the police cruiser to get it to where I need to be, that I could run it, and instead put the fire department vehicle out to bid, being that the police cruiser is in better condition?
and we talked about that last week, and we come to an unanimous decision that no, we'll get rid of both of them, and you can run yours till it don't run no more.
Okay.
I mean, we were told that that one wasn't worth fixing, and we had to buy a new police cruiser, and we
Right.
take all kinds of flack. People saw that back on the road, so.
Yeah, and then the use case between police and fire is a little bit different. We're not putting the miles on that they are,
Correct.
we're not putting the idle hours on they are, so, that's a big difference in our use cases, but. There's a lot of differences between the vehicle. I mean, my current one's getting about 13 miles to the gallon, the police vehicle gets 17 to 18 miles to the gallon. There's a lot of benefits to the town.
But
I wanted to offer it as a suggestion. I felt it may have been a better way to spend our money. Ultimately, the
we
decision was-
decided that wasn't the best thing.
Okay.
You don't have to run yours till it dies.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Not gonna talk about the short-term, long-term disability insurance right now.
What was the issue, Brian?
I'll do that in the 91A at the end, and get a non-public.
Okay, so it's applying specifically to,
Yeah,
it's not a general discussion about
no,
the insurance?
no,
Okay, good.
so,
Yep.
for an announcement starting tomorrow is open enrollment for anybody that wants to run for office. So sign up, you get to the February 3rd at 5 o'clock. Okay, somebody had an appointment at 4:45. Heidi.
Hi there, so I'm back with the,
Yeah.
the suggestion with the plan for the event board for the nonprofits in the town, and I believe you have to send out.
Yep.
And I wanted to know if there was any, what the feedback was on that.
Now, did you get Chuck's feedback?
What's that?
That's
you
right.
get-
Actually, Heidi, Grace gave it to Heidi.
Oh.
I just forwarded it. to
Oh,
her.
okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
So the document that Grace forwarded you with the several questions,
Yeah,
I forwarded that same document to the board, so everybody's gonna copy of it.
okay, yeah,
So,
and I'm sure, as I answered Grace, I'm sure there'll be other ideas or questions that come up when the nonprofits get together. But it's one of those things, is it the chicken or the egg that we're gonna do first? So we decided to see if we had approval before we went and had all the groups get together and.
But I'm not gonna approve anything till I see the final document, because we're posting this on town property. I wanna see the
Well, we
agreement.
didn't know that going ahead. When I first came to you, I thought you just wanted to know what we were gonna propose putting up there.
And I asked a bunch of questions back then. What are you gonna do? Who's gonna do it? And we were told there's gonna be some kind of agreement. I need to see something in writing before I'm gonna move forward with it.
So you
Because,
want the actual agreement between the groups before you.
yeah, I want you to sit down alone and find out who's gonna play and who's not when it gets really serious discussion. Because it's a serious money, serious discussion on who's gonna own it. And I think you're gonna find that some players aren't gonna play.
So as we have that discussion, can you clarify about who's gonna own it? Who's physically gonna own the item versus who's gonna participate?
Physically, you folks are buying it and you're installing it with our approval on town property. The town, as I made clear up front, big sign on it says not maintained by town.
Right.
But that leads to a question, who is gonna maintain it? Because I don't want it to be up there for 30 days or 60 days or at the end of the summer, and all of a sudden it looks like a shit show.
Right.
Because of all the crap that's on it, nobody's maintaining it. And then we gotta tear it down. Don't wanna do that.
So as we present to the groups, are we presenting that what we're putting up there, we continue to be actual owners of, or are we, so that's, somebody owns something that's on town property? That's a question that we didn't really know.
Maintenance is yours. If basically it rots off the post and it falls over, you gotta put it back up again. We're not doing it.
Right.
But that's good. You gotta spell that out. Those are the questions that need to be outlined in a document somewhere. Here's how this will work.
So any factor that goes into the 6 or 7 groups communicating amongst themselves, the days before which someone has to tell someone that something's happening, all of those types of things you want before the board? Or is it just about the physical structure and what's happening at the transfer station?
I think the 15 questions that Grace outlined on here are a good base of the questions for discussion with all the nonprofit groups. Because I think once they start thinking through some of this, I think some of them are gonna back out, not be part of it.
Right.
And okay, that's not a negative, but then who are the players that are left? And how are those players going to own and manage the ongoing board?
All right. In following that agreement, do you see that the number of groups, 5, 6, or 7, have an agreement, like a signed agreement with the board, or do you?
It's on town property, we gotta approve it.
Right, but so that's, if we come in with an agreement amongst ourselves and give it to you, and you like it and approve it, that
It's
approval
done.
might be a vote.
That is,
We're not needing,
we're not signing your document,
right,
we're just
okay,
board
so
approval.
we're not contracting between the town for any of this. by coming and proposing it to you, you've committed to it.
You'll outline in there how it's gonna be managed. The town will, when we say yes, the town will have a copy of that on file, and then we will expect it to be managed against that document. But there needs to be, if it's not managed in that document, what's gonna happen?
Right.
Who's gonna take action? How will that work?
Yeah.
And that's all part of what's gonna be spelled out. And it's all bullet points. I mean, it's small paragraph stuff. It's just a matter of sitting down and putting it on paper and then getting everybody to agree with it.
Is there anything beyond what's on that list that you would like to see as a board?
I think you'll come up with some more when you sit down with the different groups and you start going through it and saying, hey, what,
But is there anything specifically that you would like to see so that we make sure we don't really cover it?
size, maximum size is an issue. Because if we come to the table with 5 groups now, and all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 more groups that wanna come to the table, what are we gonna do and how are we gonna do it? I don't wanna have that looking like, you know, a highway bulletin
So
board.
the maximum, the size proposed right today is not a deal breaker. Because we're not talking about going beyond the size.
All I wanna do is basically say, this is it. There's no intention to expand it, period. I wanna see that.
So that does need to be.
I mean, yeah, cause at this point, it's one of those things like I don't want it to be a highway bulletin board thing.
Right, and I mean, the proposal is
I know, I read it.
that. So you're not saying that that's too big now?
I'm okay with what you put down.
And if we promulgate an agreement, can we get it to you, like for a work session, for you to have some time to respond to things that aren't gonna make it?
We're doing work sessions every other week. You gotta meet.
So there's been one, I guess I can say, the PTO, there's been some indications that they either are not interested or can't do it, and then another party involved with the school has said that they might like to continue to talk about that. And would be involved. By the time we come to you with an agreement, there's no adding or subtracting from the groups that are.
You can add, subtract the groups as long as the groups fit within the description of your document. I mean, you could say, here are the 6 we want. By the time you get done, 3 of them might disappear and 3 new ones might come in. It's still gonna fit within the same parameters of your design.
Right. Yeah, and I'm thinking mostly if, once we do it in a group that didn't want to do it, thinks it's a great idea. We would be able to add them to that same understanding.
I mean, policing it, I think is gonna be a big deal, because where it's at the transfer station, it's gonna be near the swap table. I can see at least during the summer months, tons of people walking up there with their little packs and sticking stuff all over that board. To be able to get their message out, because they're gonna see it as a regular bulletin board.
Well, everything's behind plexiglass, there's
That'll help.
and that's, I mean, there's the granularity of, we'll have to figure out if we do everything we're supposed to and people still show up and plaster stuff on top of it because people get to see it, and we have to figure out, are we responsible for what somebody else is vandalizing?
Somebody within your group's gonna be responsible for managing all that.
Yeah.
And if that person isn't available, or that group's not available, who's the secondary group?
And that's good. The intention is that it's not taking resources from the town, whether transfer station employees or calls to the office or whatever. So that's where we want to get, but.
Jason, my fear
It's a
is right
central
now-
location for everyone to know that if whatever's going on is there if you wanna know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the reason that I'm kind of a stickler on making sure the details are there and the signs there, that the town's not responsible. We get flack all the time and have been for years. How come the town doesn't manage its Facebook page? We don't have a town-sponsored Facebook page by design, because we don't have a webmaster that can manage it. So it's not gonna happen, but people are expecting it. So if they see a bulletin board up there, something they can visually see, some of them are on that to go to think, okay, we paid to put that up. No, we didn't pay to put that up.
In that piece of it, because that's very specific to the wording about whether it's town money, town, maintained, whatever. Can that piece of it come from the board to us? The words that you want to see.
It's very simple. Not maintained by town.
And town not maintained.
Not maintained by town of Effingham. That would be the words on the bottom.
You can dress up if you want, bulletin board or content not managed by town of Effingham.
I would recommend something a little more specific, like in the Milford transfer station. There was a very similar board, I would say just 1/4 of this, and it said on it, for postings, contact, and there was a phone number or an email address. So, people interested in posting, might be a nonprofit you don't know about. They would know how to reach out and contact you, compared to something not maintained by Effingham, creates a call to the office who maintains it. So I think a contact of who maintains it compared to who doesn't maintain it is a more proactive reaching out to who maintains it.
I think my concern is this red mark here, that's where they plan on.
It's a bouncy, I mean, it would be down below the swap table, which is also below the septic system.
Is that going to hold up traffic from leaving?
Probably not because of the location. There's a
Is
swap
if
table.
people getting out to read it,
No.
whatever, they're gonna park a car there and,
There's a swap
It's
table.
also,
for
it's
people
also
from
gonna be
leaving.
a big letter.
Huh?
They go around it.
Does a swap table prevent people from leaving? No. That's why it's a good position, because it's already tested with the swap table.
And it's been our assumption that we've been going in that direction, that it's for large lettering that's mostly seen from vehicles. When you slow up and you stop and you read, you don't approach it and get fine print from page size things, because then you got traffic, cars stopped and idle, and so that's where we're going with it, in order to try to keep that flow issue. And then by holding it back from where you start to pitch down, then you have brought in traffic coming from different places.
You're actually gonna be part of the pitch down. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
you'll be on the
leach-
slope.
leach field goes beyond the swap table, about another 10 or 15 feet. So
Right, so
it's gonna be down closer to the gate. than you
Where
might
the-
think.
Where the orange markers that I placed in the fall, it's behind the leach field. It's up the slight rise where nothing was, just the bushes there that weren't disturbed to put the leach field in, so it's not the leach field. That's where the markers were placed for review of, is that the right spot? And that is more flat than down, so that we weren't having, as people slide the things in, they're not.
I just don't want it located in the leach system or behind the leach system. It's gonna be below the leach system. The leach field. Cause I don't want people walking on it, driving on it. We don't want,
So those posted,
they're close. I mean, unless you're gonna dig it up and find out exactly where the end of the leach field is, they're close. I think you're not far off from where the position would be.
and then I think it seems like we, the groups, would want a representative on the day that it comes to put it's 3 5-gallon bucket size footages. We would want not to be doing that.
Yeah.
Only ourselves, that there's somebody's representative from the town. So.
No, we can cross that bridge when we get to it.
So we'll put that in the doc.
It's still a good idea. There's some logistic things that need to be documented.
I'm not trying to sour you on it.
Oh, no, yeah, I just-
Grace?
So I have a question. so we're talking about the board here, is there any chance that there could be a similar, option for a nonprofit calendar on the town website? I know that sounds like a duplication, but some people may, check the website and instead of waiting.
That's another thing.
But
Teresa, no,
something like
who's
that?
responsible
It
for it won't get
becomes a
done.
cost issue. We hire maintenance on town website right now, and if all of a sudden we're gonna be getting a bunch of stuff in, that means our hourly rate is gonna go up, and we're already spending more annually on the maintenance of the website than we budgeted.
And it's hard to get some of the stuff, our own stuff on the website.
Exactly.
Well, just trying to expand the options.
Yeah.
So we may be looking at, Audrey, contacts, we may be looking at a website redesign for the town anyway, so we're gonna talk to a vendor and find out what the capabilities could be.
I'd be interested in knowing about that.
Because I'm thinking from a calendaring function, there are ways to structure calendars where you could allow people by a sub-administrative access to go in and post on a calendar. So it wouldn't involve us maintaining it, the individual entity could maintain it.
That's good. Dave?
I heard you mention that you're gonna have a meeting for the manifest. May I suggest you invite the treasurer?
Okay. Open it up to public comment. Please try and keep it less than 5 minutes, because you get non-public to go into, and then there's a budget meeting after that.
Within 60 minutes.
Yeah. Vicky?
Just for the board, engine 3 is at Portsmouth Ford, the work is complete.
Cool.
We're there.
Where'd they find the path?
They finally came in. The ship finally made it to dock. I don't know. They showed up, like 300 of them.
Wow,
So
good.
tomorrow we'll be back in business.
Good.
A comment for Evans Brothers. I know they're slammed, but if they could pay a little more attention to the station for me. Can't back the big trucks up the ramp because there's just a little bit of powder on that. It's just enough that they can lose the traction. So we've had a lot of trouble where they're getting to us kind of at the end of the storm, and by that point you can't get the trucks in and out. As of noontime, Station 1 still hadn't been done at all through this last storm. So I don't know. They might think that that's not active. I'm not really sure. But
What time was I here yesterday? Around 1 o'clock.
I don't know.
When I went home, it had been plowed.
okay, well, there's at least 4 or 5 inches of snow
Yeah.
in the lot as of right now. So I know they're busy. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't envy them at all.
JK, I'm just wondering on this that you handed us, is there a way to total, like, at the end, like, how many were medical, how many were wired down, how many were alarms,
that
how
by-
many,
by, like,
you know,
major
so you
category.
know, so it's easy to keep track of where most of it is, whether it's medical, or if it's fire alarm, or if it's, you know what I mean? I just think,
It gives you the medical and fire calls. Gives you the medical and fire calls.
I know, but I understand that, but I'd like to see each one, like how
Quick
many,
tally, it's a quick tally.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's easy enough.
And each month we can say, all right, are motor vehicles going up more,
Right.
or is, you know,
Yep.
fire alarms going up more, or,
On the stats, our total number for the year was 526. That is 106 calls ahead of where we were last year, which is about a 25% increase. We had 420 last year. So storms definitely helped with that.
Yeah, the 23rd, it's a busy day for you.
Yep.
I'm sure January is gonna be.
Let's knock on wood that we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll make it through.
We still got storms coming.
As long as we don't have any more microbursts
Yeah.
and storms.
Dave, I left a copy in your mailbox.
Okay. Are you gonna put in what the budget committee asked starting this year
Yes,
on each monthly?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Good,
You're in receipt of my letter.
yes, we get that.
Okay, I know you're gonna have to discuss it among each other, and probably talk to the town attorney and New Hampshire Municipal Board. Do you have a copy of the petitions, the original petitions? I have them, I'm gonna give them to you.
Do we have those?
We'll need to check.
Yeah,
I did not.
Well, I have copies, why don't I just give it to
Okay,
you?
that'd be
okay.
That'd be
awesome.
good.
Mhm.
There's also something here from the New Hampshire Municipal Association that I conferred with,
okay.
all right?
All right.
Now, I know it's not gonna happen overnight, no matter what happens. But it shouldn't linger very long. It should have been done a long time ago. It wasn't properly addressed. And I didn't think the complaints were taken into consideration, considering the number of them. But that's all in the letter.
Yeah, we just,
And I
Saw
know you
that
can't
tonight.
just off the cuff start asking me questions about it, but I
We'll-
hope
we'll
this
do
doesn't
some
go on
homework,
too long. I'm sorry?
We'll do some homework.
Yeah, well, I did too, in order to set
I
it up
know.
so I can.
I see it.
I have to utilize the law when I, in my business, because my employees, I work in the medical field. I've only had 2 occasions over the years to have to fire somebody, and that's what I did to do it. You have to protect yourself legally, so there's a right way to let someone go, and there's a wrong way to do it. So, and I hope if you have questions, you'll try to get a hold of me.
okay.
Do you want a phone number or email or something?
Well, I know where you are.
We got, we got your number.
Yeah, we know where you live.
Okay. That's now, right? All
Thank
right,
you very
great.
much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Hate to do this, but, make a-
Non-public.
make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32A.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Recording stopped.
Steve, we're gonna be non-public.
Dave shouldn't. I need the recording, I mean, okay, see you in minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have nothing more. Anybody else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody.